The mortal realms have been despoiled. Ravaged by the forces of the dark gods, they stand on the brink of utter destruction. Against such foes, courage is the truest defense and the most effective weapon. But it is not always strong enough to prevail, for this is the season of war. This battle is brought to you by our channel members and FLGS partners, Warpfire Minis and X-Planet.
Hello and welcome to Season of War! Tonight I am joined by Jake again. Welcome back.
I'm back.
Excited to have you.
We're running it back.
Yes, rematching this one here tonight. But before we get into that, my name's Jordan. Happy to have you guys with us today as we play another game of Age of Sigmar. And jumping right into things, the mission we're playing today is Lines of Communication.
Yes.
So just 3 objectives on the table here. It's hold 1, hold 2, hold more scoring.
Yep.
And the only twist with this one, actually rather small in the grand scheme of things compared to some of the other missions, but the player going second each battle round gets to choose one phase to disrupt for both turns of that round for their opponent, where on a 3-up, commands cost an extra CP.
Yes.
Very relevant.
I'm very command heavy. You don't really care.
Yes, yes.
It does hurt me a little
bit. I know
bit.
one phase you want to send some command points.
Oh.
Yeah, but
Knows.
Yes. No secret there with the Flesh Eaters. But the big thing about this game, actually, as we said, this is a rematch. Jake, we played this matchup with these 2 armies right at the launch of the edition.
Yes.
Before we done an FAQ about the war song bomb, getting reduced, fixed in terms of it can't go beyond the base spellcasting roll with the Primal Die. And Flesh Eaters then got a huge round of changes.
A week later, all the war scrolls changed.
Yes, so, and we had filmed obviously in advance too. So yeah, there was huge amount of changes, like war scrolls, like you said.
Yep.
I guess beast flayers were already a thing, but lots.
They didn't get to do anything last time.
Yes,
but
they didn't,
this time, fingers crossed.
The same thing happens because they are scary. But yeah, we're obviously gonna see kind of where these 2 armies sit after things have settled a little bit.
Yep.
So a bit of a rematch. Thought it'd be fun to do this and showcase this. Again, your list was an immediate port over with the for the new edition, where this is now you've settled with things have settled a little bit.
I know what I want to do now.
And I've similarly made a few adjustments, but still some tweaking left to do. But Jake, why don't you take us through your army?
Yeah, absolutely. So this time, as opposed to last time when I was running 9-9, which is very common for Flesh Eaters, we're now running 6-6-6 in Blister Skin. Yeah. The reason we're doing this is just because it's a more trade-heavy playstyle. With the 9s, you're just kind of setting up encounters where you think they'll just survive, and then rally them and muster them all back to waste your opponent's turn. Of course, that's risky because if you guess wrong, even by a little bit, or the math goes wonky, you lose your 9. Yeah. So 6-6-6 wants to trade a little bit more. You care a little bit less if you lose a unit. And being Blister Skin with the extra move with the teleport really makes a lot of battle tactics easier. Yeah. A lot of the movement-based battle tactics gives me access to the Scream to Death Flesh Eater Courts battle tactics. Lots of cool things because the Flayers also now can carry around foot heroes, little fairy. So it's cool. So yeah, we've got a 6-6-6, 2 blocks of 6 horrors, both in Wizard Finders, 6 block of flayers. We've got double arch region for that tasty beast flayer summoning. Yep. 2 by 10 ghoul screams, 1 vampire lord, 1 noble knight is not a zombie Pegasus, and the Crypt Haunter Courtier for the muster. Nice. My grand strat is spellcasting Savant, so I have to keep this guy alive.
Yep, makes sense. And I guess good lead in. I also have spellcasting Savant here today with my Warsong Revenant.
Shocker.
Yeah, similarly, going to be positioned at the back of the battlefield, hiding and trying to be safe. Yep. But looking at the army itself, I'm playing Gnarl Root and have a very similar hero loadout. With the Warsong Revenant as my general. With Spellslinger, I've got Durthu with the Greenwood Gladius, and then I have Dreicha, paired again with the 2 units of 10 Spite Revenants. Again, with Hoarfrost, they really pop off. They're good to begin with, in my opinion, but they can just kind of go supersonic. And then I have 2 units of 10 Dryads, which were the bane of Flesh Eaters last time, and a unit of 5 Tree Revenants. But then the one hero I neglected to mention, having dropped a bunch of the Smallfoot heroes, I've brought in a Celestant Prime. So my Lady of Vines conversion, going to be adjusting, modifying, so throwing it on a Celestant Prime sized base right now. So I can run her and get that model on the table, and just another kind of deep striking threat that you have to worry about. Yep. I also have the Spite Swarm Hive because that's just mandatory in Sylvaneth. And I think I came in at 1970 or 1980 points, so I will have the Triumph, which is nice.
Yep.
But then everything was wrapped up in a Command Entourage, giving me an extra spell enhancement because, again, Hoarfrost is so good. And I want Treeson as well. And then, so that was the Command Entourage, and then the Battle Regiment, bringing me to 4 drops. Like you said, Jake, allowing me to have choice here. And
drum roll.
Yeah, let's see, no surprise. We're gonna go into Flesh Eater Courts, turn 1.
Let's do it.
Marching forth to defend their lands, the Flesh Eater's battle tactic is magical dominance, and the movement phase is disrupted. The Ghoul King on Zombie Dragon and Warsong Revenant both fail heroic leadership. Tapping into the primal magics, the Archregent casts Hoarfrost on the horrors, but is unable to cast any more spells. The Ghoul King on Zombie Dragon miscasts Malefic Hunger, but quickly regenerates the wounds. The second Archregent fails Ferocious Hunger, but casts Mystic Shield on the Flayers. Enjoying the battle? Check out our YouTube membership to support the channel and get an extra battle report every week. Two of the Flesh Eater heroes spend a combined 3 command points to summon 20 Beast Flayers and a Vargulf. Proudly displaying their pristine battle formations, the Flesh Eater Courts complete their battle tactic and score 5 points.
What an eventful turn 1 that was.
Yes.
I did a whole lot of moving. We marched those ghoulish legs.
Just the ghouls.
Just the ghouls.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in this situation, really my only proactive play I could make is teleport the Flayers forward. Maybe scream off some of the Dryads, but then you jump on me and I die.
Not worth the trade, yeah.
Not going to trade 6 Flayers for maybe Dryads.
Yeah.
That might not even die. So I've just opted, I chose Magical Dominance. I've just advanced my army forward to set up my layers of screens. I've summoned some Beast Flayers, which you made me pay out the nose for, sir.
Yes,
they were supposed to be free.
Yeah, it was interesting the way we interpreted it.
Yes.
With the battle plan of costing additional CP is the wording when you use a command, not when you spend a command point.
Correct.
So it's just when you use a command. It took it with your Archregent from 0 CP to 1 CP. And your Ghoul King had to pay 2. So 3 CP overall for your summons.
Yeah, so I got lucky. I got an insurance policy because I rolled 4 up on the Blister Skin. I cashed to my Warlord.
Yeah.
But that was an expensive summoning round.
Yes, and part, may have influenced, not to say I know, but, maybe influencing also not wanting to be as aggressive, right?
Sure.
Because then, knowing that you're not to have the CP to spend or less to spend, could always be a factor.
Yep, absolutely. That's a good point.
But obviously we got lots of game to go, and we're going to be jumping into Sylvaneth turn 1.
Watching the deluded ghouls prance and preen, the Sylvaneth battle tactic is magical dominance. The Warsong Revenant and Archregent both use heroic leadership. Also tapping into the primal magics, Dryker casts the Spite Swarm Hive. The Warsong Revenant casts Verdant Blessing and casts Hoarfrost on the Spite Revenants, then Unleash Swarm of Spites deals 3 mortals to the ghouls. The Spite Swarm Hive grants its vital venoms to the Spite Revenants. After travelling the spirit paths and charging into combat, the Spite Revenants make quick work of the ghouls, then strike and fade to safety. Laying the groundwork for their war plan, the Sylvaneth complete their battle tactic and score 5 points.
Sylvaneth turn 1 went about as effectively as I could hope for.
Yep.
Sylvaneth turn 1 is often more about setup than anything. Biggest part, getting out of Wildwood to start, then having a basis to cast from for additional spells.
Yep.
A normal thing to be fairly reserved, though. I got my 2 objectives with my Dryads. Not giving too much to my opponent, in case of losing priority or you taking the turn.
Sure.
But again, with the mounting, or clearing of terrain pieces and the wood coming out, I now have places where I can start to get threats out kind of across the board should I, win prio.
Yep.
But again, spellcasting here in Gnarl Root, used the Dwindling, had to pull out all the tricks to get all the spells off, but I did get them all, thankfully. Didn't end up using the Primal Die, but again, you really need those spells.
You gotta make it consistent.
Yeah, so, and that's the best you can do, so you take it. But that's it. The only other noteworthy thing is I didn't want to risk either of my heroes to get their shooting off. Dredge is only 12 inches. Dirthy is only 15, so not much more. I could have brought them out here, but then I have thin screens. Not super comfortable with that.
Yep.
And for unit 10 ghouls, not worth the risk. Yeah, so we're holding off for now, and yeah, I guess we can just jump into priority for round 2.
I'm gonna roll this ogre dice.
All right.
Bonk.
That's a 5
I got
to
a
your 4.
You can take the double.
Well, I am in fact going to give you the turn, Jake. Will not take the double.
I was not convincing enough, eh?
No, but we will go into Flesh Eater Courts turn 2.
Feeling the urgency to act, the Flesh Eater's battle tactic is surround and destroy, while the movement phase is again disrupted. The Archregent uses heroic leadership, while the Warsong Revenant fails. The Archregent casts Deranged Transformation on the Flayers and both units of Horrors, then casts Mystic Shield on the Flayers. The other Archregent casts Hoarfrost and Ferocious Hunger on the Flayers. The Ghoul King on Zombie Dragon successfully casts Malefic Hunger. Don't forget, we've still got our campaign going to get our Beasts of Chaos army funded. Toss over a super thanks if you want to chip in. Disrupted, the Archregent spends 2 command points to summon 20 Beast Flayers. Still an insane deal, if you ask me. Unleashing their death screens, the Flayers take down 1 unit of Dryads. Engaging their enemy in combat, the Flayers attack another unit of Dryads and swiftly take them out. Dispensing justice to the trespassers, the Flesh Eaters complete their battle tactic and score 5 points.
So I failed to fool you into taking the double.
Yep.
And thus I had to play. So what happened? This turn I opted to do...
You flooded the board.
I flooded the board. I put a bunch of ghouls on the board.
Yeah.
Threat overload was the theme. So I was debating between doing Scream to Death and the board edge ones. Opted to go for the board edge one just because Scream to Death had some fail points.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I hit the big Deranged Transformation on 3 different units. Was able to go push really far in. I hit the Hoarfrost. I hit basically every buff I needed to kind of negate the Dryad's neg stacking. So the Flayers just went up, screamed off this unit, charged and killed this unit. Brought in the Beast Flayers over there. So I'm T-posing on this board and I'm saying, handle it.
Yes, yeah, exactly that. It's like, yeah, especially with you're spread out to 3 units with your big blocks of Horrors and Flayers. Yep. And then the 2 units of Beast Flayers, Ghoul King. It's a lot of threats to kind of have to worry about. Thankfully though, I think the saving grace, hopefully, it pays off setting myself up for the later double. Yep. Because that could be the best chance I have to kind of chew through a lot of your units. But
sure.
It's going to be a lot of game left to figure it all out. Lots of duels and horrors and stuff in my face, so we'll just jump into Sylvaneth turn 2.
Staggered by the ferocity of the abhorrent creatures, the Sylvaneth battle tactic is harness the spirit paths. The spirit of Durthu and the Ghoul King on Zombie Dragon both use heroic leadership. The Warsong has unleashed Swarm of Spites unbound and fails Hoarfrost, but does cast Tree Song. Dreicher casts Verdant Blessing to summon another Wildwood, then the Spite Swarm Hive grants its vital venoms to Durthu. The Kurnoth Prime travels the spirit paths to deep strike onto the battlefield. Dreicher launches her Flitter Furies and deals 8 damage to the Flayers. Durthu then uses all-out attack, but deals no damage to the Flayers. The Flayers unleash Hell, dealing 5 damage to the Spite Revenants. The Spite Revenants start off combat by dealing 10 damage to the Flayers. The Beast Flayers deal 3 damage to Durthu and 1 to the Prime, then use Feeding Frenzy to fight again, dealing 7 more damage to Durthu and 2 more to the Prime. The second unit of Spite Revenants deals 11 damage and takes out the Ghouls. The Lone Flayer attacks and deals 3 damage back to the Spite Revenants. Durthu deals 4 damage to the Beast Flayers, then uses Strike and Fade. Last to fight, the Kurnoth Prime deals 6 more damage to the Beast Flayers. Not quite dealing the crippling blow they'd intended, the Sylvaneth complete their battle tactic, but only score 3 points.
Well, it'll be a mixed review for Sylvaneth turn 2. I went for a couple plays. I just feel these armies, I'm just behind the 8 ball in terms of like just stuff on the board, potential damage output, board presence, obviously, wound density, like it's a lot to chew through. So I felt like I had to at least engage a couple units, right?
Sure, yep.
In hindsight, the biggest thing is forgot that the Beast Flayers are, like their name suggests, good against beasts, and that Durthu couldn't but used Ground Shaker, the monstrous action, to make them fight last, which would have let me activate here and then with Durthu, which was my plan. It allowed the Beast Flayers to then double activate, get 10 damage on Durthu, bracket him.
Yes.
Otherwise, I probably used the Triumph and I kill
a ton.
Yeah, I kill, deal
sword.
15 damage there. Because they do reduce monsters' damage by 1.
Yep.
So they're great there. So forgetting that, I, in hindsight, could have put the Spite Revenants over there and put Durthu into the Flayers. It still would have relied, like that plan still could fail by me just failing a 3-up on Ground Shaker.
Sure, yeah, yep.
So it's always going to be a bit of a gamble.
Yeah.
But I just need to do that, and then was really playing into the double.
Sure.
So I could like take this, hopefully this flank. Ideally I wanted to deal with those 2 units and then be free to deal with the next 2.
Yes.
And then the rest of your army's over here.
But now because of some fortuitous things, this one guy being alive. Well, even if you get prio, I can hopefully delay you and put you back 1 turn of clearing my stuff, which would be nice. Would be nice. These guys really only survive. The Zombie Dragon, big debate, Terragay, Zombie Dragon, Eternal, Effect Player, Eternal debate. But really, these guys survived because of the Wound Reroll aura gave them enough damage to bracket Durthu.
Yep.
So,
and that spell is,
it's a gross
huge
spell.
fan of it as well.
Yeah.
I ended up also throwing these guys over here, mostly to give me something to tight objective.
Yep.
Again, playing for the double. My plan is to then quickly vacate there if I win prio, If not, things are potentially going badly. But again, that's the high risk, high reward plays that we're going for. Trying to kind of, fight up, it feels like, with these against the flesh eaters here. But we'll jump into Prio for round 3.
Here comes Prio. 6, 3.
Yes,
Oh, he's got
I
it.
do get the 6 with Sylvaneth.
Gotta take
like I
it.
said, we gotta take it.
Gotta
Yeah,
take it.
exactly that. And we'll jump into Sylvaneth turn 3.
Ever inspired by the Eversong, the Sylvaneth battle tactic is intimidate the invaders. Durthu heroically recovers 3 wounds, and the zombie dragon uses their finest hour. The Ghoul King fails to dispel the Spite Swarm hive, then Drycha casts Regrowth, healing 5 wounds on Durthu. The War Song deals 2 mortals with Unleash Swarm of Spites, then casts Mystic Shield on Durthu. As is ever the fear, the Spite Swarm hive fails to grant its vital venoms. Oh dear. Drycha shoots and deals 6 damage to the Ghoul King. Durthu also targets the Ghoul King and deals an additional 4 wounds, but the Kurnoth Prime fails to finish the job. Looking to finish off the Ghoul King, Drycha uses Forward to Victory but fails her charge. But it was only like 6 inches. Greatly recovered, Durthu uses the Inspired Triumph and eliminates the Beast Flayers, then uses Strike and Fade. Using Feeding Frenzy to fight twice, the Lone Flayer deals 8 damage to the Spite Revenants. The last Spite Revenant heroically finishes off the Flayer, but does flee to Battle Shock. While failing to take down the self-proclaimed king, the Sylvaneth complete their battle tactic and score 5 points.
Sylvaneth turn 3, again, kind of set up with the play of, again, playing for the double. I was feeling a bit on the back foot, but in a better spot.
Sure.
Though it was so close to being like an incredible turn.
Yeah, missed the...
Yeah, so
Ooh.
with the shooting, I got a lot of damage between Drycha and Durthu on the Ghoul King on Zombie Dragon.
Yep.
Celestin Prime then tried to chip him, finish him off. He had 2 wounds left. I rolled a 1, or I made a ward save.
Like that,
So he survives with I think 2 wounds left.
2 wounds left.
2 wounds. Drycha was positioned then to go in and finish him off. Citizen's charge, rolled 2 5s. So that hurt. Gives you a piece. I mean, you might not throw him in right away.
Yep.
But it's still a piece that's going to be lingering. Even if he just sits in the backfield, casting a spell and divvying out his buff, he brings so much value.
Yes.
He brought that value even here to the Flayer.
Super,
That lone Flayer with the fighting twice, killed 4 Spite Revenants.
4 guys.
8 damage. So that took out the unit, though they at least finished off the last Flayer before the last guy fled.
Yep.
And notably, actually, this turn almost was a critical failure with Spite Swarm Hive rolling a 1. That is like, the design of that just drives me nuts as a Sylvaneth player. Yeah. Like, it's such a critical spell. It sucks to have so many few things being so critical to any army, but to then have it unreliable too, or not. You know what I mean?
You know what? They like that mechanic so much they made it again with Lady of Vines.
I know it does not make sense. There's just like no reason for it when like you look at the majority of other books have a lot of reliable abilities and whatnot.
Yep.
So, anyways, Celestin Prime didn't end up doing anything too much this turn, but Durthu went in and did the business, which I'm okay with. Again, really disappointed about the Zombie Dragon, but here I left this flank, though I still hold that objective, and brought my Spites back over here so that I could set them up to then be a buffed up hammer unit going in somewhere else.
Yep.
Didn't even mention off the top, Durthu is back to
full
bracket. He's got 1 wound on him, so I healed 9 off of him between 1 from. Oh, maybe I healed 10. 1 from the Sylvaneth, 3 from Heroic Recovery, and then 5 from, so it's 9 total from Regrowth. So yeah, not too bad at all. And yeah, we're going to be seeing if we can hold on. Obviously, thankful that two of the units are further away, but we can potentially see some buffed up horrors coming in. So
yep.
We're going to brace ourselves for impact and jump into Flesh Eater Courts turn 3.
Enraged at the impudence of the tree men, the Flesh Eater's battle tactic is United Court. The Ghoul King heroically recovers 3 wounds, while the Kurnoth Prime recovers 2. The Ghoul King has Malefic Hunger unbound, and one Archregent has Deranged Transformation unbound. The other Archregent casts Hoarfrost on the Horrors and Ferocious Hunger on the Zombie Dragon. Hoping to get back into the fight, the Horrors on the far eastern flank use At the Double. The Zombie Dragon's Pestilential Breath deals 1 damage to Dryker. The Ghoul King on Zombie Dragon uses Forward to Victory and charges into combat with the Kurnoth Prime. The Zombie Dragon stomps the Prime, and Dryker roars the Horrors. The Ghoul King attacks and finishes off the Kurnoth Prime to the exact wound. Dryker attacks the Horrors but deals just 4 damage. The Horrors retaliate and deal 8 damage to Dryker, also killing her to the exact wound. Doing just enough to take down 2 enemy threats, the Flesh Eaters complete their battle tactic and score 5 points.
All right, we have just wrapped up my turn. Very Flesh Eater Court's turn is the way to put it. I don't know if you can see over here, this was the easiest United Court that I've ever scored. I had exactly all 3 units I need just to walk on and get it. So that was great. On this side of the board, I think kind of what happened here just kind of highlights why this build is very strong. There's like 6 different diffuse threats. Yep. And any of them can absorb the buffs and then just go absolutely wild.
Yes.
So at some point I'll take casualties, I'll lose units for sure, but then you'll be in a position where I can hit you back, and with the buffs it's brutal. So we picked up the Celestin Prime, didn't need to fight twice, got an exact kill. Yeah. Lucky. Actually got an exact kill on Dryker too, who did roar.
Yes.
And so that I took Wizard Hunters. I'm glad I did.
Gave you the extra attack.
Gave me the extra damage. Oops.
Yep. Yeah, I could have finest houred her.
Yeah.
I mean, in hindsight, it actually probably would have saved her life. Yep. I think maybe 1 or 2 more saves.
Sure.
Or the other option is the CP would probably have been better spent on a redeploy, forcing you to tag Durthu. In hindsight.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But also can't predict what you're doing.
Correct.
There's a world where you just put the Ghoul King into Durthu and kill him before, and then go into just him and Drycha.
I was thinking about that. Yeah.
So.
Otherwise, happy with how it went.
Yes.
Can't complain.
Yep. No, very solid turn. Puts us in an interesting spot where, against with Prio, I've still got lots of fight left, but it could go badly quickly if not. That's a 3.
4.
All right.
Well, I'll take it.
Sounds good. Yeah. So we'll figure out what we got left as we go into Flesh Eater Court's turn 4.
Looking to eliminate their foes, the Flesh Eater's battle tactic is the Royal Hunt, and the combat phase is again disrupted. The Ghoul King heroically recovers 2 wounds, and Durthu uses their finest hour. The Ghoul King again miscasts Malefic Hunger, suffering 3 mortal wounds. The Archregent casts Ferocious Hunger on the Ghoul King, then also casts an Arcane Bolt. The Spirit of Durthu unleashes hell but deals no damage. The Zombie Dragon roars the Tree Revenants, while Durthu fails his own roar, and the Archregent releases his Arcane Bolt. The Ghoul King on Zombie Dragon starts the fighting, but deals just 1 damage to Durthu. The Ghoul King then spends 2 command points to fight again using Feeding Frenzy, dealing 5 more damage to Durthu. The Spirit of Durthu attacks the Flayers, dealing 6 damage. The Vargulf kills 1 tree revenant, then the remaining revenants deal 4 damage to the Ghoul King. The Horrors attack Durthu but deal no damage, and the Archregent deals just 1 wound. Unable to fell the Great Tree Lord, the Flesh Eaters fail their battle tactic but still score 3 points.
All right, so we're here at the end of the Flesh Eater Court's double turn.
Yep.
Didn't get the result we wanted. I was in one of those spots where I didn't have a battle tactic to call, so I did have to take a chance on the Royal Hunt. Now, obviously, that's hard to do. He's got Mystic Shield, Finest Hour, all defense. Even though I got extra 3 attacks on the Zombie Dragon, who has the highest rend in my army, it was tricky using the Tree Revenants to pile in around and avoid the Roar. Wasn't enough. So no battle tactic there, which will put us equal in scoring if Jordan can continue to score 5. Because he had a turn earlier where he only scored 3 as well. Yeah. So we both got a 3 turn and the rest are 5s. Durthu is surrounded. He's swamped in flesh. He's wounded, but he's still standing tall.
It's a tough one. Again, lots to even chew through before, like thinking about trying to store objectives here.
Sure.
Is going to be tough. But we still got now a potential another double batch, so we're going to keep fighting.
Game's still going?
Yep, we'll jump into Sylvaneth, turn 4.
Dedicated to fulfilling the will of the Everqueen at any cost, the Sylvaneth battle tactic is Eradicate Trespassers. The Spirit of Durthu uses heroic leadership, while the Archregent fails. The War Song deals 10 mortals with Unleash Swarm of Spites, then casts Hoarfrost on the Spites and the Spite Swarm Hive. The Spite Swarm Hive grants its vital venoms to the Spite Revenants. Durthu focuses his Verdant Blast and finally takes down the Ghoul King. The Spirit of Durthu uses Ground Shaker on the Horrors, then attacks and takes down the abhorrent Archregent. The Vargulf then attacks the Tree Revenants and finishes them off. The Spite Revenants attack the Horrors and deal 11 damage, but leave one alive with 1 wound left. The last Horror uses Feeding Frenzy to fight twice, but only deals 2 damage to Durthu. Fighting with the fury of desperation, the Sylvaneth complete their battle tactic, but only score 3 points.
Sylvaneth, turn 4, and solid. Again, I'm chewing through stuff pretty well. The game's gone in terms of the things I could control. The plays and the strategy has been all right, I feel.
Admirably well, yeah.
Here, Dan left 1 model on 1 wound, or left the last war on 1 wound.
Yep.
Which means he did 2 damage to Durthu. Thankfully, didn't kill him.
Yeah.
But just puts me in a tough spot. I can't heroic recovery to try and recur wounds, and yeah, that's tough. But I did at least take the Zombie Dragon down and shooting.
Yeah.
Got my Ground Shaker off to make the Horrors fight last. One little mistake I made was I moved the Spite Revenants on purpose rather than teleporting them. It gave them a shorter charge, which is worthwhile, but I did that mostly so I could use the normal Allegiance teleport to take my Tree Revs out of combat because they couldn't retreat, and they couldn't use their teleport because it's a normal move, but they couldn't retreat because of just the distance and positioning. But then I started shooting stuff and I forgot to teleport them away after that, so meant they were stuck in combat and then died, which is disappointing because that's a battle tactic there.
Sure. Although me surviving on 1 wound kind of presents a new battle tactic.
Yep.
Which is,
kill something with magic. Yep. So I'm going to have options.
Yep.
There's a few different ones I could have gone for. Even with that, I could do charge a hero in a battle line. I could do surround and destroy.
Yep.
Yeah, different options, but the main thing is it coming down to.
I'm gonna roll this ogre dice.
Yeah, turn 5 prio. It didn't work for you last time you did it. That's a 1.
That's a 1 as well.
Yeah, you win ties.
Okay, that being the case, I'll take it.
All right, we'll go into Flesh Eater Courts, turn 5.
Hoping to finally put down the remaining resistance, the Flesh Eater's battle tactic is intimidate the invaders. The Vargulf musters reinforcements and returns 1 horror, while Durthu fails heroic leadership. The Vargulf then musters again, returning 2 more horrors. The recursion is so strong. The Archregent casts Deranged Transformation on the horrors. The Spirit of Durthu fails Groundshaker. Then the horrors attack the Spite Revenants and take them out. Looking for vengeance, Durthu attacks the other unit of horrors, but deals just 1 damage. The horrors retaliate and manage to finish off Durthu. Finally quelling this violent uprising, the Flesh Eater Courts complete their battle tactic and score 5 points.
So, we've concluded Flesh Eater Courts turn 5.
Yep.
The buffet, the banquet finally happened. I avenged my prior disgrace by whiffing on Durthu. These horrors kind of pivoted over. I like Blister Skin for that. It makes your pivots very consistent.
Yeah, you're very quick.
Very, very quick. Got into the Spite Revs and wiped them. Durthu notably failed his Groundshaker, which would have made this squad fight last.
Didn't
really matter.
Yeah.
Durthu whiffed big time with his sword. When he's bracketed, he gets quite unreliable, to say the least. And then these horrors cleaned up Durthu.
Yeah, outside of Voting Brow, at least.
Correct. Yeah. From this point, it's...
Well, yeah. So you'll get your 5 points here.
Yep.
Going into Sylvaneth turn, I don't really think I have a reliable battle tactic. Maybe trying to kill the Vargulf with magic, but that's a big ask.
I think the biggest swing you could do is if you can get a tree here, you could fish to deny my grand.
Yes, but still very unlikely.
Yep.
So we're gonna assume it's a 0 point Sylvaneth turn 5.
Okay.
But then we would both get our grand strategies for keeping our spellcasting savants.
At opposite ends of the board.
Yes, just along the back table edge, protected by their terrain. But I guess big things to talk about here.
Yes.
Much different showing for Flesh Eaters. Obviously, new rules, more Beast Flayers, getting the opportunity to actually do something with them.
Yeah.
Flesh Eaters is very scary, I think, right now in the game.
They're very scary. They have just the magic combination. They are so wound dense. Your average Flesh Eater Courts list is 200 wounds or more.
When you factor in summoning.
Factor in the summoning.
Yeah.
The summons are super high value now. It's extremely diffuse, so it's not like you can just pick up one thing and the threat's gone. They're all threats.
Yeah.
And not only are they all threats, they're all potentially game-ending threats because the buff synergy is so high.
Yeah.
The army is very quick. It can play aggro. It can play board control.
Yep.
And its recursion potential is
as we saw here,
off the wall.
Yeah.
So Fekis should be on everyone's radar, I think. If it's not, it is already.
Yes. Well, think especially you had 6 threats here.
Yes.
Not to mention the ghouls actually could take all those buffs too.
Yeah.
And be threats in their own right.
They're gross. Yeah.
Seeing where these armies now, we were talking about a bunch of changes from the last time we played on both sides, and Sylvaneth obviously not having that devastating spell output. It still can do damage, as we saw. Had the 1 turn of 10 mortals, I think, across the different units. But it's not what it was. I think, honestly, though, it wasn't a bad showing for Sylvaneth by any means. They hung in there. I think that honestly, that Ghoul King goes down on that turn.
Yep.
Could be a different game.
Absolutely.
Little things here and there that kind of got away from them, as tends to be the case with Sylvaneth. You roll a 1, you don't get...
Lots of rolling 1s. Oh, he's alive on 1 health. Oh, this happened. The Sylvaneth battle plan is so susceptible to
There's
one
lots of fail
thing.
points. Yeah.
It's got fail points. which is a contrast effect, which like
this is very reliable.
I can get roared, but that's my fail point. You know, everything else is just going to happen. The wounds are on the board, the damage is there.
Yeah.
Very consistent.
Yeah, and great great objective control with all those bodies as well. That's an area that Sylvaneth struggles.
Yes.
Especially on a mission like this where it is central, your opponent can push up and take the board.
Yes.
Then you're kind of trying to dance around and stay safe from everything else. Again, if you can take a flank and then deal with pieces at a time, it can work. But just wasn't doing enough on those kind of turns when I got that double.
Yeah. There's very little, because there's so many wounds. There's very little leeway to have a bad turn, to not have the optimal turn.
Yeah.
Because if you are ever behind the 8-ball, if you ever fall behind on the timer to get the bodies off the board, you can't win.
Yeah, exactly that.
So,
and you think that exactly happened to the Beast Flayers, right? When Dirty
stalled
went in there.
You a turn. Yeah.
Yeah, went in there. Do you think I attacked first there or something different, do it differently and can lift both those units as was legitimately possible?
Sure.
And then in the double, could have been drastically different.
Yes.
But that's the way she goes. Again, like you said, I feel Sylvaneth is often playing on a razor's edge, or you have that risk of one or two things not going right and falling a bit behind. But they're still a great army, lots of fun to play, so much mobility.
Score well.
Loved having the Prime in here, though he did go down. Honestly, I think with this list, maybe I could have even waited a turn to bring him down.
For the Dan, yes.
Because he wasn't the one that's going to be clearing the Beast Flayers on his own.
That's true.
So it was kind of dependent on Dirthu, so could have held him a little bit more.
In this matchup, you didn't need. There's some matchups where you're really going to want the Storm Blast.
Yeah.
But in this matchup, doesn't do a lot. Just because
it could have finished off that Dual King.
It could have. Yeah. It could. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. So that's one reason to have him on the table, like you said. Like the lightning is good.
Lightning is good.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah, that's about it though, guys. We're gonna wrap things up here. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed that match as well. Don't forget to check out our membership on YouTube if you enjoy our content and want extra battle reports. But either way, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you soon in another video.